Alrighty. Well, I want to start out and just play a couple tunes for you, and then with whatever time we got left, try and teach you as much as I can, just note for note, licks as we can go, and I can come out, walk around, and if anybody needs anything, we'll play it by ear and see how it goes. But what I want to do with the songs that I'm going to play is show you some different picking patterns and cross picking the Tut would use, and I figure most people have picked up a flat pick, but it's not required. So I also want to show you how you can take those flat picking licks and switch them over to your finger picking style. Now first I want to do a song that's called This Ain't Grass. With this tune, it's in an alternate tuning. You drop the low G down to an E. Kind of like if a lot of people play Folsom Prison Blues, Johnny Cash out of this tuning. But this is in the key of E minor. It's called This Ain't Grass. Back up into the standard tuning. Okay, this next song that I'm going to do is just kind of like, it's just a G, C, D, kind of bluesy, bluegrassy type of thing. But this has really got a whole lot of what I would like to call like Tut signature licks in the tune. This is called Sweet Pickin' Time in Wilkesboro, Georgia. It's off of the prior Tut album, and the first tune that I did, This Ain't Grass, is included in the tablatures that I have up here, if you're interested. Alright, here's some Sweet Pickin' Time in Wilkesboro, Georgia, out of the key of G. we'll get into some of those licks. That's one song I want to do a lot of the focusing of this workshop on. And but I got one more tune that I want to play for you. This one is also out of standard tuning, and this one's called the Ghost Picker. So let's learn how to play some Tut tunes. I want to start out with the last song that I just did, the Ghost Picker, and because I think just this opening is just one of the coolest things I've ever heard on the Dobro. And so we're going to start out. It's you're going to fret on the D string, which I'm going to refer to the strings in numerical order. Start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The highest string D will be number 1, then B is 2, G 3, D will be 4, B 5, and the low G will be 6. We'll talk about the frets just by numerical, by number. So we're going to start out on the 4th string, D, on the 2nd fret, and you're going to slide from the 2nd fret up to the 4th fret. And now your next note will be the open B string, 2nd string. So you have okay, now your next note is going to be the 4th fret on the 4th string. So you go from 2 to 4 slide up with an open 2nd string and then back to the 4th string. Now the next note will be the open B string, 5th string. So you need to keep your bar up at an angle to be able to keep the strings above and behind the D string open.
So you're downstroking every one of those notes?
Yeah. Yeah, whenever, I don't talk about the downstrokes and the upstrokes so much, because I notice that I do them differently, even on the same lick. It's just whatever is most comfortable.
Sure.
There's not a whole lot of thought that goes into my right hand. It's just kind of habitual, I guess.
Did you get it in the cone?
Yeah.
That's
Uh-oh.
good.
Oh, that's no good with that.
That's one drawback of a flat pick, is if you drop it into the cone. And it's not easy to get out of there either. You can't pick it up and shake it out either.
know.
Can't leave it in there either too. It'll start rattling.
I know.
Yeah, I did that one time at a show, and yeah, that wasn't very good.
Yeah, I got to come off my finger and back the rest of the show.
It's all because of that cover plate. With the lyre and the poinsettia cover plate, you've got enough room, that pick will fit right in there.
No, it fit in perfect.
But like an old fan style, you don't have to worry about it. The perils of flat picking the dobro.
Yeah, I worked out a little bit.
Alrighty, so back on the ghost picker. So we're going from 2 to 4 on the 4th string with an open 2nd string, back to the 4th string on the 4th fret, and then an open 5th string behind it. So we have kind of a repeating pattern of playing the 2nd string open, the 4th fret on the 4th string, and the 5th string open. So it's going to be a whenever you put this together so far, you're going to have Okay, now for the next part, you're going to do almost the exact same kind of a pattern on the 2nd fret of the 4th string D string, which is your E note. And that's, once again, that's the open B string, 2nd string, 2nd fret on the 4th string, and open on the 5th string, B. This is an E minor chord. Okay, so just to get us all back up to where from the beginning, from the 2nd fret on the 4th string to the 4th fret on the 4th string, followed by the 2nd string open, and then the 4th string on the 4th fret, and then the open 5th string, the open 1st string, 4th fret on the 4th string, and then the open 5th string again, and then we move down to the 2nd fret on the 4th string, and then we hit the 2nd string open, the 4th string on the 2nd fret, and the 2nd string or the 5th string B open. So we have Does anybody have any questions so far? Or am I going too fast or anything? Okay.
Cool either way.
All right. Might help if I hit the right strings, but
It
yeah.
fits.
So we're going to do that pattern from the 4th fret, which will be your B chord in the song, to the 2nd fret, which is your E minor chord in the song, back to the B section. So you have and then the last thing you're going to do is go from the 2nd fret on the 4th string to the 4th fret, just like the opening slide, and then slide back down to the 2nd fret. So you go from 2 to 4 to 2, and then open on the 4th, and then an open B string to end the lick. So you have that on the 6th string if you want.
Are you coming back and muting the open D before you hit that last B?
I'm leaving it open.
Okay.
Yeah, there may be a slight little mute to it. It depends on speed, and
Yeah.
I do some muting with my right hand quite a bit to dampen things, keep it from ringing out, things like that. With a flat pick, you'll notice whenever you start getting, it kind of rings out a little bit. So if you mute it just a little bit, it makes everything sound a little bit cleaner. But so far, that's pretty much the entire opening to the song, the first part. So we have. I'm not sure if it's in there or not. But please help yourself to a copy of that. There's quite a few songs in there. I can't remember exactly what all's in there. I do know This Ain't Grass is in there because I learned it from that. Has everybody got where we are so far, or any questions? Anything?
Really appreciate you doing these.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I got them all clipped there together.
Are you strumming like in a certain spot? With that low B. Are you strumming more than one string? Like we'll say the 4th fret on the D string?
No, I'm just hitting the 1B, the one low
Never
B.
hitting that like a strum with a pick?
I don't know. You can do that flavor if you want.
I'm just wondering if you do that.
Yeah. Maybe not intentionally, but sometimes. I mean, I do love a good, and nice B minor chord.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Oh, it's one of the greatest sounds on Dobro ever. Alright, so I'm just going to run through that real quick one more time just for everybody. Alright. Okay, and if anybody has any questions, please, or afterwards or anything, or if there's something that you want to go back over, feel free to stop by the booth over there. I would be more than glad to sit down and work with anybody on a one-on-one group basis or whatever. It's absolutely my pleasure to help out. So, ready to move on? I'm going to show you just a few kind of picking patterns of Tuts that he would use. He learned a lot of his cross-picking patterns from Earl Scruggs' banjo playing, trying to copy the banjo style, and Josh Graves. They both kind of learned a lot from Earl. Tut talked a lot about trying to mimic the same kind of sounds as a banjo, but without sounding like a banjo. Now, some of the licks, patterns that I was using on Sweet Picking Time in Toomsboro, Georgia, are just like a triplet pattern. He's basically doing all backstrokes on the first, second, and third strings. So you just have, and it's not a straight like da 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 da. It's more of kind of a crooked feel to it, or kind of like a shuffle almost maybe. It's like da 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 da. That last one holds out just a little bit. So but you see that pattern a lot in his songs, from Sweet Picking Time in Toomsboro, Georgia. Oasis uses it a lot. So it's just good to, whenever you're doing Sweet Picking Time in Wilkesboro, Georgia, it's going to be, the chord is C, so it's the 5th fret, and you're just going to slide on the first string from 4 to 5, and then play the second and then the third, so and then. And this is a pattern that is recurring throughout his tune, so you'll hear it more often. Another thing that he did was, it's almost kind of like a double timing thing. It's similar to a alternating roll on a banjo or the dobro with the, but you're going to start out with the 4th string D, and then it's generally either the 1st string or the 2nd string. So for this one, we're going to go 2nd string. So we're going to go from the 4th string to the 2nd string, and then the 3rd string to the 1st string. So you have. And I'm just fretting on the 5th fret. So that's 4, 2, 3, 1. And this is another one of those cross-picking patterns that he uses to kind of replace the forward and backward roll that finger pickers do. Now whenever you get it up to speed, I'm going back. I'm going down with one and back with the next, so it's a back and forth pattern. That way you can get both. But you can do downstrokes if you want. A good example. There's a tune of his that I used to do almost all downstrokes on when I first learned how to play it, which is "Mist on the High Meadow." Which is that lick from it. But I notice now when I play it, I actually do a back and forth cross. So it's whatever is comfortable with you if you're using the flat pick. Eventually, the more you go back and forth, the easier it'll come. So it's whatever gets the notes out now.
You start that little lick out with a downstroke or an upstroke?
Downstroke.
Downstroke.
So I told you all to go from the fourth string to the second string. For this, I want to show you it's the fourth string to the first string to the third to the second, which is the same thing, but instead of going to the second, we're going to go to the first string first. So it's 4, 1, 3, 2. And of course, if you're wanting to do these licks of tuts with finger picks, you're going to start out with your thumb, and then your index finger, thumb, and then, or thumb, middle finger, thumb, index finger. So it'll be a... So I want to show you how that he actually used that pattern in some songs real quick. Like in Wilkesboro, Georgia, you just come in with... That's also used a lot in like steam-powered aeroplane or the song Double Flushing. Because whenever but it gives you that same rolling pattern like you guys use with finger picks, except with a flat pick. Actually, Southern Filibuster's a good one to kind of show you how all that kind of works out with the melody, and then having like the backup. John Hartford referred to them as ghost notes. They're notes that are kind of behind the melody that are fillers. They don't need to be there, but they give you a little bit more flavor and keep the speed up. Because if you just play, say like Southern Filibuster, that's the melody. When you add the ghost notes in, it's... So you add those extra fillers in between, which is all based on that back and forth cross-picking pattern that I'm trying to show you with the... And if you're going to do that pattern on a... like to slide up to meet the G note, we're going to go from the 3rd fret on the 4th string to the 5th fret on the 4th string, and catch that open G. So Tut would go. So that's sliding up to the from 3 to 5, and then hitting the G string open, and then back down to the 4th string on the 5th fret, and then an open high D string. So we have But then again, you can take those same licks if you're not using the flat pick and just do your thumb and a finger. Just go. Sorry, I don't have picks. But I'm just going with thumb and one finger to do that finger picking. So does anybody have any questions so far of the things that I'm going over? Is anything that you'd like a little bit more detail on? I'm just kind of going through as...
That last lick you showed sounds like a thing that Jerry Douglas will play where he double thumbs.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody's thumbs move so fast as his, but he'll double thumb to get that thing. It's easier to do with a flat pick.
Yep. That pattern a lot. I'm gonna just play the chorus lick to Steam Powered Area playing real quick to show you exactly how he used that in a tune. That gives you an idea how that it's kind of like the end to bring it around, and or like on his song Double Clutching, basically that whole song is nothing but that pattern. It's that gives you an idea how that lick is used. So, any other questions so far? Anybody? Okay. And like I said, if there's anything else, any other questions that you have, please stop by the table. Yeah.
What type of flat picks have you experimented with, and pros and cons of different?
Well, this is just a regular old plastic flat pick. The one drawback about just using a regular one like this is I cut into it a lot and grind it down. You can see there's quite a bit of pick dust on the cover plate there just for my picks. But I've also used like a Dunlop Ultex type of pick. That seems to hold up a lot better. Yeah, Tut had all these flat picks with my name printed up on them, done for me. So I've been using those for a long time. And there's a lot. I'll go through one in a set, and it'll be all shredded down on one corner or something like that. Just gotta pitch it and get another one.
What about gauges? Is that a medium gauge?
I like a 1 millimeter.
1 millimeter.
Tut used to use I think a .76. He liked a little bit thinner pick. We did some experimenting last year with thin picks, and you can get kind of a bouncy kind of feel to it. It's almost easier to do the cross-picking patterns with a thin pick, but you don't get the volume behind it, and if you try to play too hard, I will snap one in half if it's too thin. So I like something with a little bit of meat to it.
Now, with steam-powered airplane, how would Tut do the A minor, B minor part of that?
Okay, that was the da 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 da. Yeah, that's it's on the second fret of the third string to our open third string. So it's second fret to open to the second fret again. So, and then you slide up to the fourth fourth string, or the fourth fret on the third string. So. And then basically you're just going to go right back down to the second fret. So it's second fret, open, second fret, up to the fourth fret, back down to the second fret. And then open again. That's going to be the second fret on the fourth string. So it's and then you're just going to go back up and hit the open third string again. So we have second fret, open, second fret, slide up to 4, back down to 2, open, and then second fret on the fourth string, and then back up to the open third string. So. Everybody got a handle on that so far? Or? And then, so you do that pattern twice, and then you slide from the second fret up to the fifth fret on the fourth string, and then do that cross-picking pattern of the 4, 3, 4, 1 that I showed you earlier. So, and then to finish it off, you're going to do a slide from the second fret to the fourth fret on the third string again, with the B string open added up whenever you hit that fourth fret. So that's second fret, third string to the fourth fret, playing the open B string with it. Yeah, nice slide up to the B. So all together, I'm gonna try to go real slow with this. It's harder for me sometimes to slow things down. I notice that I throw extra notes in here and there, and I don't mean to. It's just kind of habit of the popping right hand. But that's the gist of it. So the first time around, it's da 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 da. So you don't do that slide on the second time around. So it's just. For the second time. So all together, we have. Okay, so one more time, just up to speed for everybody, so because sometimes whenever you start to slow things down, they don't sound exactly the same as they do when they're fast, especially whenever you get into like, see, when you slow it down, it doesn't sound like that. So it's like I said, if you want to stop by the booth, and I'd be more than happy to sit and work with you one-on-one or whatever. It's really my pleasure to help out. I love to teach people to play different stuff, and like I said, I owe it to Tut. Is there any other questions so far up to this point? Yeah.
So do you do flat picking just one more tool to have in your quiver, sometimes using finger picks, sometimes using flat picks?
Well, I'm kind of a strange animal. I flat pick the Dobro only because it's the sound that I like. I don't like the way the metal finger picks sound on a Dobro. They sound thin. They don't have the attack. Sometimes they're kind of scrapey. There's just something about it. It's almost kind of like fingernails on a chalkboard, but subtle. So, yeah, when it comes to Dobro, it's only the flat pick. Now, when I play guitar, I flat pick. Norman Blake and Doc Watson are huge influences on my guitar playing. And I also finger pick the guitar, Merle Travis style, with an alternating thumb bass line. So I can finger pick. Also play 3-finger banjo and clawhammer banjo. So the skills are there. It's just I don't like the way it transfers to the Dobro. I'd listened to Dobro for years. My dad was a big country music and bluegrass fan, and I remember listening to lots of like Josh Graves and Flat and Scruggs type of stuff. And the Dobro really never hit me as an instrument that I wanted to play until I heard John Hartford's album Aeroplane. And whenever I heard that album, songs Steamboat Whistle Blues, Vamp in the Middle, Aeroplane, just the Dobro playing on that, I was like, wow, that's different. There's something there. And then that's whenever I really wanted to become a dobro player. And the thing was, I was starting out with finger picks because everybody finger picks. And I was trying to learn some of those licks, and I was bound to determine one of the first things that I was going to do was learn how to play the chorus part to area playing. And I'm messing with finger picks, and it's just not sounding right. There's something about it that wasn't working. And then finally, the guy that I've grown up playing music with since we were in high school, and we still play together. We're playing Saturday night. After this whole thing's done, I got to go back to West Virginia. And he looked at me and said, "You know that Tut Taylor flat picked the dobro, don't you?" I was like, "He did?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You got to be kidding me." So then I researched. I'm like, sure enough, he was using a flat pick. So I put my finger picks back in my banjo case and got out a flat pick. And sure enough, I got the sound I wanted. And then it was just a matter of time of taking what flat picking I'd learned on guitar patterns and then trying to learn how he was using that on the dobro, kind of crossed with banjo playing because he's trying to emulate the banjo at the same time. And I was kind of got most of the gist of it, but I really didn't truly understand the style until I met Tut. And that was here at the ResoGat. Once we were sitting down in the other room over there. It was one of the very first I just sat down. I got my dobro out, and he said, "Play something for me." So I started playing area playing, and I got to the, and he said, "Whoa, hold on a second. You're missing 2 notes." And he showed me what they were, and then that right there, because I was listening to it, and because I've got a pretty good ear for being able to learn things. I can't read music at all. So everything's played by ear. And then watching his hand, he had, I mean, his right hand was absolutely amazing, even at 90 years old. His arthritis was so bad that he couldn't tune the dobro anymore. He would have to hand it to somebody else to have it tuned. He could barely hold on to it, but he could still hold a bar and he could still hold a pick, and his right hand was just as agile as mine is. There were so many things that, and you just watched his back and forth. It was just so subtle and so easy. Now he played a lot softer than I do. I play pretty hard. So he was a quieter dobro player. But it's one of those things you can. I talk to a lot of people who are taking up the flat pick because of arthritis. Older guys that are playing, and they're finding that their fingers aren't just able to do it anymore because it's getting to be so bad. And I tell them about Tut and how his arthritis was so bad, but yet he can still hold a flat pick, he can still play. So there's some people that are starting to switch over to that to just be able to maintain their playing abilities. That way they don't lose it. Because Tut was playing right up until he passed away. We were working on a album of gospel tunes, and he actually was taken to the hospital the day before we had a recording session scheduled. So I mean, he was playing all the way up until the end. Any other questions so far about the playing? Yes. Okay. One more thing I really want to go over with you is I didn't play this tune, but it's a pattern that pops up in a couple of Tut's different songs. It comes from the song The Black Ridge Ramble and also Pickin' on Josh. Is the lick I want to show you here real quick. What we're going to do is we're going to hammer on from onto the 3rd fret on the 5th string from an open, and then play the open 3rd string. So you get a hammer onto that D note and then play the open D up behind it. So we're going to go, and then we're going to hit that open D twice. Kind of like the double thumbing that you're talking about with Jerry Douglas. So it's going to be. So the beginning of that second hit is going to be the beginning of the hammer-on for the next one. So you go, and then you're going to hammer onto the second fret on the fourth string. And then hit the third string G open. So we have. That up to speed for Tuts song Black Ridge Ramble, it comes out and if you want to start learning the song Picking on Josh, which is off the Friar Tut album, it's capoed for the key of A, but it's that same lick, just a lot faster to where it's... Oh, I'm getting the songs mixed up.
I have, it seems like I flat pick like I finger pick, like lightning. Never strike twice in the same spot. But I imagine you keep doing it over and over.
Oh, yeah.
Slow enough to do it right and speed it up as over time. So I notice you've got some mutes on the back of your.
Yeah, this is with this resonator. This is the way that Tut had it set up. This was his Dobro for about 15 years.
Right.
His son Mark made this back in 2000,
Right.
and basically I left it set up the way that he has it. He's got some dampeners down here to cut out of any back tones. It's understrung
Right.
because it has such a low break angle with these older style resonators that they made to give it more of a break angle there, so it puts more pressure on the cone to give you a little bit more sustain, a little bit more volume, keep the strings from popping out so much. On the older Tennessee resonators that I have on display, they the break angle on some of them, I mean, it's almost flat. This cover plate, where it's one of the newer ones from the Crafters of Tennessee time period, it's a higher, the hand rest sets up probably almost a half a centimeter higher than the other ones. So with those you can only raise it up so much, but even this one has a lower nut. It's just one of the things that I like about the older style. I'm not so much into a nut that's 5 inches tall sticking up off the end of the Dobro and everything. If you're not hitting the fretboard the height is all just about, you know, angle and pressure on the cone and everything like that. But if you don't hit the fretboard, I think it's just fine. Well, I appreciate everybody coming and
Thank you.
sitting through the lesson and everything. And like I said, if you have any questions or anything, stop by my booth. I will be more than glad to sit down and pick with you. We can go through some of the tablature. I'm not that great at reading tablature. I'm one of those players that I have to get it inside of my head first, and if I can hear it in my head really clear, then I can figure it out. And if I can figure out how to do it in my head, then I can make myself do it. And whenever you're practicing anything new, you'll find that it seems like you're just doing the same thing over and over, making the same kind of mistakes, or it's the same kind of sloppiness, until one day you just sit down and you do it perfectly, and you don't know how, it just happened. It's just one of those things with muscle memory and practice over time that it'll just, boom, one day hit you. No matter, because I mean, I practiced the cross picking pattern for years before I got it nice and clean, and it's just like one day I just sat down, picked it up, was like, how did that happen? Just enough practice over time. So yeah, definitely don't get discouraged with anything if you're learning or whatever with that. Just keep with it, and one day it'll just be like somebody kicked on a light switch, and it'll work forever. But I appreciate everybody coming out, and thank you very much.